you can trust and rely on no matter what. So imagine finding out that your best friend has swindled you out of £117,000.
Well, that's what's happened to Sue Hughes after her closest pal of 25 years, Anna Bonner, posed as a man she fancied in a plot to steal her life savings.
But after Bonner's elaborate lies were finally exposed, she was jailed for 28 months in April, and Sue tries to piece her life back together. She's joining us now to share her shocking story. And welcome. It's really lovely to meet you here, and thank you for sharing this story with us, which really does act as a warning to others, because we've sat here so many times on this sofa and heard this story, and you think, how can it happen? But it does.
It does.
It does. So let's start at the beginning. You and Anna met back in '99. First impressions of her weren't great, were they, actually?
No. I was already working there. She was the new care staff. Because it was a supported living home, I'd cooked a meal, because they only get the one, and she was serving it, and she has long, dark hair at the time.
Yeah.
And nobody wants hair in the dinner.
No, they don't.
No. So I told her to put her hair up.
Yeah. So a little bit of sparks there.
Yes. She turned around and said that she hadn't got a bobble, so me being me, I carry loads of them, and give her one. And she was just like dead huffy.
Well, it started a little bit of a rocky start, but then you were mates, you got to know each other, got to figure out each other's personalities and started going out.
Yeah.
And started going to clubs and things.
Yeah.
And so how soon, looking back on this, bearing in mind this was a long friendship.
Yeah, it was.
How soon did she lie?
From day one. As you're getting to know one another, I had a great upbringing. I was brought up in the army. There was me mum, me dad, me two brothers. We moved every 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. Anna said that she was one of triplets, two boys and a girl. No, two girls and a boy. Because the boy child died, her biological mum and dad left them in an alleyway in a plastic bag.
Oh, God.
In the middle of Liverpool. So, yeah, it played on the heartstrings.
But even more than that, when you went into the club, you had eyes for this bouncer.
Yeah.
Steve, and so you thought, oh, he's a nice-looking guy.
Yeah.
And she lied over that as well.
Yeah. This guy, we were on the middle floor, and he was up in the DJ box, as they are. And I was like, oh, he's quite cute. He's got a nice bum, cheeky smile. And she turned around and she went, that's my Uncle Steve.
That's my uncle. And, of course, we now know that this wasn't true at all. So this friendship continued. Unfortunately, the club shut down and you lost contact with Steve. But he plays a very important part in this story, so we'll come back to him. The friendship goes from strength to strength. You're going on holidays together. You house sat for her when she went on honeymoon. You were by her side on her wedding day. Very, very close friends.
Yeah.
8 years later, after the club closes down, you receive a phone call, don't you, from Steve?
Yep, in 2011, I was in work. I'd qualified as a nurse by then, and he rings me up, just general chit-chat.
He's doing well for himself, though, apparently.
He is. Apparently, he's got businesses in Las Vegas, hotels, clubs, whatever, and he wants a camcorder for Christmas, a HD one. He said that Anna wouldn't get him one. Would I get him one for Christmas? OK.
Did you not think that was a bit weird?
Not really, because I was still getting updates through Anna on what he was doing. He'd been married, he'd had 2 kids, he'd been divorced. Yeah. He was doing well in Vegas.
So he's speaking to you on the phone?
Yeah, when he asked for the camcorder,
so
he was speaking
voice? Because we now know that Steve does not exist. Never existed, other than the guy you saw, the bouncer.
Yeah.
But any other contact after that is her.
Yeah.
So who's the bloke on the phone?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. It was definitely a man's voice. It was definitely had a Liverpool accent. But as for who it is, I will never know.
I mean, the heartbreaking thing about here is it's not just gifts that were exchanged, but feelings also. And over this communication and love letters being exchanged, you fell for him. And so when he said that he was coming back to the UK to meet up with him, you were delighted.
Yeah, I was excited.
But he didn't show?
No. No, I mean, we got told he was somewhere in the club, but we couldn't find him. I now know why we couldn't find him, because he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then this is where it starts to get really expensive and you are dreadfully exploited, because you are then told that he is unwell, that he's got testicular cancer.
Yeah.
And how cruel is this of a friend to do this to you, to fake something so serious? And so this is where the big chunks of money start going.
Yeah. She said that he needed to go to Maryland for experimental treatment in America, but she couldn't pay it all herself. Would I go halves? So, yeah. I said, OK. It started off at £1,000 a month, but then it slowly rose over time. About 2 years into it, he needed money for a flat because the hospital said he was getting too institutionalised and the flat was attached to the hospital, so he'd still get his treatment. So that was $450 a month.
So this isn't money that you had. I mean, you're taking out loans, you're taking on extra shifts, nursing all hours in order to pay for this, and you are getting in debt and desperate with worry because he keeps saying to you he sees a future with you, he keeps saying he's going to marry you.
Yeah.
So you've got the pain of a loved one going through this treatment, which potentially we don't know the outcome, but also getting more and more into debt.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm running around like a headless chicken.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, it's as you say, you were very close to collapse, physically and mentally as well. Over 5 years, you sent this £117,000. By 2019, you're £30,000 in debt. And your friends became suspicious. And then you started, OK, well, I'll do a little bit of background here. And Anna said that she was in America.
Yeah.
And then so you look on social media and you find out, actually, she's not.
No. Her son is on Snapchat. And I didn't know, but Snapchat have a map and you could see them.
Exactly where they are.
Yeah. And so, because I'm also working 6 nights a week, looking after her 6 horses while she's in America looking after Uncle Steve.
She had 6 horses?
Yeah. The yard kids were telling me that they're in Wales or they're in Lancashire or they're at home.
Did she actually have 6 horses?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
So you're discovering more about this world that you thought was a reality is tumbling down and falling apart.
Yeah.
You're in debt. You went to the police, didn't you?
Yeah. I had a breakdown in December 2019, which is where I stopped work. I couldn't work anymore. In January is when I had to stay with my mate Laura because I was suicidal over it.
Oh.
So that's when we started uncovering everything.
Oh.
Where she told me she worked for 10 years.
Yeah.
They'd not even heard of her.
It's just all a horrible lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything. Cute. So I then goes on births, deaths and marriages, and there's no record of Stephen Lucas being born. There's no record because he's a twin. There's no record of him. So, yeah.
Well,
I didn't inform Anna. I was waiting for something. I don't know what I was waiting for, but yeah, I eventually got it.
Well, sometimes you just can't allow yourself to believe the worst, to believe that someone that you know so well
Yeah.
could have lied so horribly to you. She pleaded guilty to fraud by false representation, admitted that she kept all of the money, because I know you spoke to her ex-husband, and all the cards that you'd sent to Steve were actually in her house. They never actually got there.
Yeah.
And so kept that money as well. She encouraged you to send letters, cards and gifts. And obviously, as we know, he never existed. The police tried to contact Steve. They found nothing. The judge gave Anna 28 months in prison as well as a restraining order for 15 years. You say you find comfort in the fact that you were a good person here, fundamentally. Although it was for someone who sadly didn't exist, you still had... Your heart was in the right place, and it's her who should feel humiliated and embarrassed by what she's done to you.
If you knew Anna, it's all about her. It's her world, her life, her rules. I was isolated, manipulated, bullied.
And it's only after all this comes out that your friends and your family can say, oh, you know, we didn't like her. You know, she was doing this to you, but you just couldn't see it.
No. It's the saying goes, you can't see the wood for the trees.
How do you feel now? And what's it done to you? Is it finding love? I mean, even you say getting on a bus, you know, is difficult.
I can't use public transport. I don't trust anyone. I used to be outgoing, try anything once, go out, get drunk, all the usual stuff. I now go into my car, drive my car to whoever I'm going to see, say Laura, get out of the car and go and see Laura in her house. That is it. I can't work because of the anxiety and the trust issues. It's just unreal what she's done. I don't want her to do to anyone else.
No. And by being on here, though, you say, you know, the anxiety, by being here today, being brave enough to sit on this sofa and tell your story, you will help other people. This will act as a warning. This may make a little alarm bell ring into somebody's head that may be going through something similar.
Yeah.
So you have strength in there. It's
yeah,
there.
I mean, if this had happened to someone, I am strong, I am stubborn. I don't like to be lied to. So for me to do this and for me to go through this, I think if it was somebody else other than me, they wouldn't have made it.
I hope that you can come to terms with this to the point where you could begin to try and find someone in your life. I hope that can happen for you. I think our Penny's in today, downstairs. I saw her downstairs today, so I think you should go and have a cup of tea with Penny and have a chat and talk this through. Thank you for coming on. It's very brave of you and for pointing this out. You just never know where it's going to come from.
You don't.
Just be wary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very welcome.
Thank you.